The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and are not those of WKYU-TV, its management, or WKU.
Hey! I
don't have my red towel, so I'm
Hey,
faking
here you go. Take it.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, we are here for another epic episode of Topper Talk.
Hopefully epic.
And we are in the midst of a Labor Day celebration party of WKU taking down the Wildcats Saturday night in LP Field. What did you guys think about it, boys?
Awesome time.
It was a good time.
Complete
Enjoyed
domination.
We actually should have beat them by a lot more,
Yeah,
I thought.
I think so.
I
I think everybody would agree with that. You know, a little bit sloppy there in the first half. Fumbles by people that don't normally fumble. That would be Antonio Andrews. Had a couple fumbles, lost both of them. They scored 10 points off those turnovers as well. So.
Well, and Petrino said it himself, that he kind of let his foot off the gas in the second half and, started playing conservative a little bit.
Someone like Petrino, man.
And
maybe
it's
he's a little
not
bit
like
nervous in his debut.
Maybe that's that redoing his image over again thing that's going on.
I was
there.
really surprised to see him take a knee there at the end.
I
wasn't surprised, but I was still a little surprised.
Just like maybe
just go ahead and run it up.
Yeah,
they're never going to play us again
snap,
anyway.
Fake knee and then throw it deep.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, definitely a good start right off the bat. You take the opening kickoff. You go about 9 plays, 75 yards.
Beautiful drive.
Yeah, beautiful drive. Gives Dowdy's confidence. Made some short throws to the wide receivers, and Antonio Andrews breaks off a 20-yard run. Get down there, establish good field position, bring in the bulldozer Keyshawn Simpson, and he does damage 3 yards out, and you're up 7-0. So that was a good start for WKU on that front, and it kind of set the tone for the game. Western never relinquished the lead and everything like that. Despite the fact that Kentucky did get close there, it was 21-17 at halftime. But like I said, turnovers were kind of the key in the first half. A little bit sloppy on our end, especially with Antonio Andrews, and he kind of mentioned that. He's the first one to admit it after the game. That's something he's definitely going to be working on this week, is not holding on to the ball.
And like I said, they had 10 points off of our turnovers right there, and protect the ball a little better. Don't drop some easy receptions and easy interceptions for that matter.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different ball game.
Yeah, Petrino mentioned that today in the press conference today, talking about there was about 3 balls that they dropped defensively that could have been INTs, so grabbing those would have been key as well. Also, Willie McNeil has a little bit of the yips. Dropped that long pass, but not only that, you could kind of make a case for that. He's on the run, but that pass where he came back, sitting there wide open, and the curl route, he just completely dropped it, but still had a decent game. Had a few catches, had a few key catches as well. But still, it's something you want to see in the future, that you want to see if you go deep to Willie McNeil and he's wide open, he's got his hands on it, that he brings in the catch. You definitely don't want to label him as stone hands for sure. So
it looks like he's going to be, Brandon Dowdy's go-to receiver.
Yeah.
He's the one that has the experience. He got a lot of targets. So
he's probably the most athletic guy out there on the offensive side of the ball. He may not, right now he may not be catching the ball great and stuff like that, but if you can get it to him in open space and stuff like that, he's got speed, he's got, a ton of moves he can put on people, and he's got that athleticism.
Maybe he's putting too much pressure on himself right now.
That might be what
so
it is.
maybe he just needs to
those first game jitters
chill
out.
out. Yeah.
Be ready to go for the next
But
one.
speaking of wide receivers, you had Taywan Taylor, did a really great job. Kind of lived up to his hype, and also Nicholas Norris. We were talking about that before we came on the air. They went to him a couple times early in the game. Didn't really go back to him at all, but still, whenever they did go to him, he made quality catches.
He looks like a good receiver.
Yeah.
I think him and Taylor, are both going to be, real solid players for us.
Yeah, a little bit of swagger too on that sideline catch.
It.
He kind of talked a little junk to the UK crowd, which is, it's kind of cool.
I'm fine with that.
He didn't get flagged for it, so it's all good, right?
Well, going back to the defensive side of the ball, what about let's get your all's thoughts on that hit by Andrew Jackson.
I was telling him before the show started, I think when I watched the video today, I think there was 19,000 YouTube views, and I'd say I'm about 500 of them. I just can't stop watching it. It's just so, it's the perfect hit.
I'll just say that the Prez definitely vetoed Jonathan Georgia's right to get a first down on that one.
Yeah. It was a huge play in the game, too, because at that point it's still a 4-point game. Yeah. They're at midfield. If they pick up that first down, they're getting close to scoring range. So not that they were ever – I was never in question of us losing, but if they score on that drive and take a lead, it's a different game. So, that was a huge play.
Well, and, that was the best Clowney impersonation that anybody's done since that hit.
A lot of people were talking about that on national radio shows today, that was a Clowney-esque kid. So.
Yeah, but It didn't get near the press. I thought it would. I thought that was SportsCenter top 10.
Well, he
thought
didn't rip
so,
the
too.
guy's head off, so I mean.
Well, I
it's a
know
little
the
bit
helmet didn't come
impressive.
flying, so it didn't look as vicious.
It's not as
But
aesthetically pleasing to the eye when the helmet doesn't come off, man. It's been different.
It was pretty aesthetically
Yeah,
pleasing.
it
We got a
was.
press box wide warning because everybody in the press box, UK and Western fans alike, everybody just kind of jumped up and went, "Oh!" and they announced the press
They
box
don't-
wide warning.
They don't like that up there in the press
No,
box.
no,
they don't like it when you react to plays like that. They don't like it if you're fans.
I mean, we weren't really cheering, but
wrong with those
it
guys,
was
man?
hard for
How do you not have a reaction to that?
it was hard for everybody to not react to
Those are
that.
cold people, man, up there in the press box, manning it down. Is there a press box ref up there?
Well, I think they just have a lot of people monitoring
I
everything.
was just curious. All right, of
I
course.
didn't see no stripes.
Yeah,
so.
no stripe, no official stripes. Of course, Kentucky, they started the game with Jalen Whitlow as their quarterback. Didn't really, I guess, cause a little bit of problems just with his running ability and things like that. Saw him break off like a 50-yard run. Saw him break off some numerous runs. Like I think he had the 19-yard touchdown run on a scramble play. So, I mean, it was a little bit difficult for the defense to kind of contain him, which is kind of why Kentucky went to him in the first place to start the game. So, obviously, it created some havoc then. But then, of course, when it got late in the game, Kentucky needed some points. They went to Max Smith to run the no-huddle offense. Seemed to actually work really well, actually. They went down there and got that field goal. And, everybody, I think it was funny how the Wildcat fans were booing at them going for a field goal, but they actually needed the points,
You
and
had to
you-
get something on that drive.
yeah,
for
exactly.
sure.
And, you need points on that drive because you're still going to have to score 2 touchdowns, get a 2-point conversion, and a field goal. So you're going to need those 3 points eventually.
I think what a lot of people, their feelings on that is at the end of the game, you would rather only have to get the 3 points than have to get another touchdown.
Yeah.
So they thought it was best to go ahead and risk it, go for it, get the 7 points
Yeah.
if they, converted, and then, all they would need is 10 more points as opposed to needing another 14.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but of course, obviously things didn't work out well. They scored the touchdown. They needed to kick that extra point and obviously missed the extra
wow.
point. So
Yeah,
there you
that-
go. That kind of ruined the game for
I mean,
them
I
right
almost want
there.
to feel bad for the guy, but
No, you don't.
no,
You
not at
don't
all.
really.
well,
yeah.
he missed the extra point. He kicked the onside kick out of bounds.
That had to be
You know.
the worst onside kick attempt I
I
think
think
I've
it
ever
needed to
seen.
be George Mirasan to catch that onside kick for Kentucky, man. But it was just kind of, I guess, a reckless ending for Kentucky. Missing an extra point, kicking that onside kick out of bounds. It was like about 7 feet in the air whenever it went out, hit the sideline. So, and obviously, Western Kentucky wrapped up another win. I mean, Antonio Andrews looked the part, especially there in the first half.
Leon Allen.
Yeah, Leon Allen. There's your gear shifter right there. And even Petrino mentioned in the post game. He wanted to switch the pace up with Leon Allen, and they're in the second drive. In the second half, I mean, they went to Leon Allen, and he was hot, and he said, "Hey, we
couldn't
just kept
tackle
riding the
him.
horse."
Well, we have all kinds of different backs we can throw at people. I mean, Andrews is kind of that all-purpose back. Leon Allen is kind of that, has a little more size to him. He can bulldoze people, but he still possesses that speed. Then you got Keyshawn Simpson, who's just a bulldozer. And then you throw in Ace Wells in there if you want for nothing but speed and
Funny that
but-
we didn't see Ace Wells, but today in the Petrino's press conference, he said, we didn't get a chance to put Ace Wells in the game, even though we had packages for him. It just didn't work out that way. It just turns out that Leon Allen was the hot hand there in the second half.
I mean, you had to keep feeding Leon the way he was
Yeah.
carrying the ball. He was getting
Yeah.
12, 13, 14 yards every carry. So.
I mean, you had those back-to-back drives where Leon Allen pretty much carried them down the field and led them to touchdowns. Especially, he capped the second drive off with that 14-yard touchdown run to the corner of the
Well,
end
on
zone.
that first
so,
drive, he had 9 rushes for 91 yards. I mean, that's
yeah,
pretty
he was-
productive.
Leon was on a mission, that's for sure. And like I said, he got 92 yards for the game. I mean, Andrews had 108 yards, so definitely a big production from the running game. And that also, I mean, that's
And then
another.
Simpson had 40 yards and 2 touchdowns
Yeah,
too.
and he averaged 4.2 yards per carry to Keyshawn Simpson. So, I mean, that takes a lot of pressure off Brandon Dowdy, who, like we said earlier, he looked the part as this Petrino's starting quarterback. Got some easy passes early on, but made some reads, made good throws, good decision making, and was very efficient with the ball. Didn't turn the ball over. I mean, he had that instance there on that snap where he fumbled the ball, but I mean, he smoothly just picked it back up and just tossed it over to Antonio Andrews like it never happened. You usually see plays like that where it's fumbled at the line of scrimmage, and they just kind of grab the ball and then just go down. But he just picked the ball up and just calmly threw it to Antonio Andrews for the toss, and even though it probably I think they lost a couple of yards on it, but still, I mean, that's a key play right there under
so
pressure.
Many times where he was just so level-headed in the pocket, that he knew he was going to get hit, and he just waited and waited and waited, and he had an open receiver. He threw it, got hit, but and then there was that one play where he almost took the sack, and he managed to kind of swim the defender, and while the guy was trying to pull him down, Dowdy threw it away. So he did that a lot, and I was very impressed with his poise in the pocket and his accuracy. I mean, we've seen him in spring ball, and you've seen more of him in fall camp and stuff like that. But I really didn't expect him to come out and be that accurate and that efficient in his second collegiate start.
Yeah, I mean, definitely showed why he kind of took the reins during spring, and it's carried over in the fall. And he's shown why he's the starting quarterback for sure. Like I said, very poised in the pocket whenever pressure will surround him. That's what you want to see in the quarterback, and I think Petrino said today in his press conference he's very pleased with Dowdy's plays. So
he had 7 incomplete passes, and 5 of them were dropped. Only 2 of them were. One was a throwaway to avoid a sack, and the other was just a bad pass.
Just to show you the wide receivers need to step it up, man.
Yeah.
But you talk about receivers. We talk about wide receivers dropping the ball, but then you kind of saw there in the second quarter that Petrino wanted to kind of go more to the tight ends. You saw Mitchell Henry, Tyler Higbee get involved, especially Mitchell Henry. Involved with some deep passes down the field, 25-yard completions and things like that. So getting those tight ends involved was really important as well. And we got 2 great tight ends in Mitchell Henry and Tyler Higbee.
They're
So
such dynamic players, because they're both of them are really athletic. I mean, got fairly good speed for a big tight ends, and it's going to be tough to cover for a lot of the teams on our schedule, I think. So I'm looking forward to seeing, how we keep utilizing them. And I think they'll have some pretty good numbers by the end of the season, for sure.
One thing you got to give Coach Taggart credit for is, we became running back U and tight end U, while he was here. I mean, we've just had a plethora of talent at both positions. We're 4 deep at running back, easy.
Yeah.
We're 3 deep at tight end. I mean, we
got a lot of depth.
Yep.
That's why I said, that, kind of going into this game, was there a really big talent gap? And, I can honestly say that, no, there really wasn't a big talent gap, I mean, you can honestly make a case that maybe
Actually,
WKU has more talent. Yeah. I mean, in that aspect of, everybody talks about NFL talent, but I'm just talking about depth talent overall and everything like that. WKU and UK's they had their weaknesses like ours with our defensive line, which I think really did a really good job of creating gaps for the linebackers to get in there on their blitzes. And Barry Boyd had a really good game as well, getting in the backfield, and he actually recorded a sack as well. So defensive line did really good. I mean, that was a weakness of theirs, but also you kind of counter that. They were going up against the offensive line for Kentucky that only had really 2 vets on it. So, I mean, they did a really good job in that aspect. The linebackers did what they had to do. Xavier Boyd had a really great game, had 10 tackles, had a couple of sacks as well. Like the sack he had on, I think it was Jalen Whitlow, where I actually recorded this on the sideline, but he actually sacked him. Whitlow looked like he was going to pass it, then he just didn't pass it, and then Boyd just come in and dropped him, and Boyd kind of got up and looked around and saw he had the ball, and he's like, all right, recorded the sack, man. But yeah, I mean, they did a really good job. I mean, really, honestly, the secondary, they didn't really do a lot of work. They didn't really have to. They didn't throw the ball a whole lot,
They had to stop, those 2 big long gains by Whitlow.
Yeah.
That's one thing. If there was, a critique for our defense, it's not giving up those big plays, and maybe our linemen, hitting their gaps a little better along the defensive front. Making sure that those big plays, don't happen this coming week, because Tennessee's a much better opponent, in my opinion, than what Kentucky is. So.
I agree with you on that point, even though they played a mighty raucous Austin Peay last week.
I gotta give a little credit to our offensive line, too. We hadn't talked about them much, but, I mean, everything you read about Kentucky going into the game was how their defensive line would be a strength for them.
All world.
Yeah, everybody says Zadarius Smith is, future NFL All-Pro defensive end.
Drafted after this game.
Yeah. I mean, you look at him matching up with Cameron Clemens, and Cameron just completely shut him down. Like, he maybe was in the backfield twice all night. So our offensive line was just super impressive.
Yeah, that was going to be the key matchup going in is, our offensive line, which has a lot of veterans on it, a lot of experience going up against their D-line, which, like you said, Woody, everybody was considered. I mean, they probably do have a top-notch SEC defensive line, but obviously it kind of shown that, we got a pretty good offensive line as well whenever Antonio Andrews and Leon Allen can run all over them for, X amount of yards. We can protect Brandon Dowdy. He only had 1 sack. giving up during the game. So that shows a lot to our offensive line. And, despite Petrino being called the Showtime offense, and he's probably, going to throw the ball down the field, and we'll probably see that as the season progresses. Early on, he's going to count on Andrews and Allen in that running game and that offensive line to kind of get them where they need to be. So,
he definitely, sort of tailor-made his game plan for the personnel that we have. And, he took advantage of those running backs and those tight ends. And that just shows the kind of coach he is, he's, adaptable to what he's got.
And, when you have as many good running backs as we do, it helps that Petrino's offense is almost predicated on play-action pass. Yeah. And when you got running backs that are running roughshod over the defense, you got to respect the run, and that opens up the passing game. And I think that's part of the reason why Dowdy was able to be so efficient.
So too.
Yeah. So definitely a big win. Obviously, I don't think a lot of question marks whenever they got the lead. They were able to establish it. Like I said, UK got close, 21-17 at half. But was there really ever any doubt in your guys' minds that WKU would relinquish the lead?
Yeah, I felt comfortable the whole time, but there's still that little fan in me from those 08-09 years where, we're up 18 points in the fourth quarter, and I'm just picturing everything going wrong. But I think we're finally past that. I think that's just me being sort of pessimistic. But
I didn't really
have wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that.
I didn't really have any doubt just because from Petrino's history, I didn't see him going into conservative mode and and that kind of thing. So I thought we were just going to keep doing what we had been doing the whole game. And I think that's part of the reason why last year UK was even able to come back into the game was because we went into basically prevent defense mode and just started trying to run the clock instead of get first downs. And I didn't see that happening this
one
week.
Thing I said to the people I was sitting with, it's nice to have a coach that's comfortable with a lead in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Nothing against Coach Taggart. He got us a lot of wins last year and everything, but we didn't go into panic mode. We looked like we were supposed to win.
I love Coach Taggart, but he is still in the learning phase of being a head coach too.
It's also, like you said, it's good to have a coach that's comfortable with the lead and knows kind of how to still be aggressive at the same time and not let the foot off the gas. Even though Petrino did say, he thought he got conservative a few times on some third down plays in the second half that otherwise I think he said he's probably going to be a little bit more aggressive from now on. But, and that kind of goes to show you, like I said, UK made the quarterback switch. And Maxwell Smith came in, and, he's the more natural thrower, between the two. And he did a good job of running that no-huddle offense, going down there and getting them some points and scoring that touchdown and getting the field goal and everything like that. And made some plays. Made it where it's kind of, you're kind of wondering there. But then when they missed that field goal, I thought, that's probably a good sign right there. And then the onside kick goes out of bounds, way out of bounds, where nobody can get it.
I
So
go back and watch that again on replay just to see how bad it was.
One of those football folly type moments.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Well, we got some interaction going on Twitter.
Give us some interaction, Shane.
Jerry Rickers, hope I'm saying that right. He wants to know who starts at running back next week, Andrews or Allen.
It's got to be Andrews, man.
You got to be Andrews.
It's going to be Andrews all year unless, he gets injured or something. But
Bobby is going to get the ball to the playmakers.
Yeah.
So Allen's going to see time. Keyshawn Simpson's going to see time. Andrews going to see time. They're all going to get carries. But Andrews will get more carries.
I think that breakdown you saw from this week, Andrews had 20 carries, Leon with 10, Keyshawn with 8. I think that'll be pretty close to what we'll see throughout the season.
I think you'll see Keyshawn as that short yardage.
He's a heck of a
back,
goal line
which is
running back,
that's what he's.
Well, he's the perfect short yardage back.
Yeah.
It's hard for one man to take him down.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
And you can make the same case for Leon Allen too. Like you said, he's powerhouse as well, but he's more agile, more speedy. So you're definitely going to see, I think, in goal line situations. Not to say that Andrews will be, because I'm sure Andrews will be in a lot of goal line situations. He's a dual threat. He can pass, he can catch the ball in the backfield.
Take away all the touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. But you'll see, especially when you're down there in the 5-yard line, inside the 5, you'll see Allen and Simpson in there a whole lot. So.
And we got Scott Venel wants to know. What will be the biggest key for WKU to beat beat UT this weekend? My
opinion is it's probably going to be another matchup where, hopefully the D-line can match up to Tennessee's offensive line, because Tennessee's got a top-notch. We're talking about UK's defensive line. Tennessee's got a top-notch offensive line. They're very experienced. They got Tiny Richardson, who's expected to be like a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. That's going to be your key matchup as far as, how well we do, especially on defense. Obviously, offensively, you gotta limit those turnovers. Those fumbles cost us 10 points right there. I know Petrino's not happy about it. Neither is Antonio Andrews. So limit your turnovers. Don't fumble the ball. Don't throw interceptions or anything like that. And definitely for the defense, it's definitely going to be how they stack up against that offensive line. So
I agree with you. I think it's the battle in the trenches, both offensive and defensive lines,
key every game.
and limiting turnovers. I think those are the two biggest things. We can't have fumbleitis against UT like we did against UK because they have a better offense. They have a coach that's been a head coach that's more established. And they're just, I think right now they have a better overall talent level than what UK does. So I think we just have to control the line of scrimmage and limit those turnovers.
Yep. But you, Woody, come on.
I've read a little bit about the team, trying to get a little bit of sort of pregame thoughts on them and everything. And from what it sounds like, in the trenches is definitely where their strengths are at on both sides of the ball. They lost a ton of skill position players to the NFL this past year, and still trying to find those replacements there. You can't read much from that Austin Peay game, and they scored a lot of points, but so did we against Austin Peay last year.
They
so
played their starters in the second
right.
half in that one. So.
So if our offensive line does the same as they did in the UK game, I think we're going to score points. But like y'all said, my question would still be how our defensive line matches up with their, couple NFL players on their offensive line too. So if we can play well enough on the defensive line to keep us in it and try to limit some of those big plays, I think we're going to be right there at the end of the game for sure. And it's going to probably come down to that turnover battle, like you all said.
You bring up a good point. They're inexperienced at their wide receiver position and everything like that. So, obviously the biggest key for us is probably going to be stopping their run and, just trying to have them beat us with their passing game,
They have a fairly decent quarterback in Tyler Bray, though. So.
No, Bray's gone.
Oh, wait, yeah,
Justin
you're right.
Worley,
Justin
man.
Worley's
Come on,
gone.
dude. You
I'm
reading last
sorry.
year's report?
My bad.
Worley is experienced though. He
But
played some games.
yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
he
He
played
is
some games
experienced.
last
But
year.
Tennessee. Here lately though, they've had quarterbacks. Every time one graduates, they replace another.
Had that crazy Eric Ainge back in the day, man.
Yeah, but they haven't had
Jimmy
like
Clausen.
had to put a wide receiver at quarterback like UK had to do with Whitlow and
That's
stuff like
true,
that.
yeah.
So, I
But
think
you always got to watch out for that. Worley was efficient against Austin Peay, but then again, it's Austin Peay. He went 11 for 13 for like 104 yards.
Yeah.
So, take that for what it is. We played Austin Peay last year, and we had a pretty easy time with them.
Yeah.
So obviously Austin Peay's an FCS program. They're kind of in the lower bowls of FCS, and they're trying to kind of work their way back up to respectability. So. That'll be interesting to see. I still think you need to kind of stop the run because, like I said, Tennessee's offensive line's very experienced, very big as well, and try to have them beat us with the pass. I think that's going to be our best option. We got an experienced secondary, so I'd take our secondary up against their wide receivers and tight ends any day.
And then Brandon Miller wants to know how does Western plan on improving their defense for UT's offense with them being a better opponent?
Well, like I said, I think it's kind of winning that battle at the line of scrimmage for the defensive line, and also throw in some linebacker blitzes and things like that. I think Tennessee would be smart to try to establish the run, but then again, they might just come out and pass, like you said, just depending on their personnel. Their personnel is stronger with the running backs. So, come out there and try to stop that running game, and like I said, try to have them beat us with the pass, and have our experienced secondary do what they tend to do best.
I think, another thing is, making sure they have tip drills and hand drills in practice this week to make sure that our
I think that'll
that our
probably be a point of
secondary
emphasis.
that our secondary doesn't drop any interceptions this week.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be in position to get some. They always are. We got fast, athletic, guys that get good reads on the quarterback. So just got to make sure that when the ball comes their way, that they can actually come down with it and not fumble it.
Yeah, it's like you said. We had, even Petrino said in the post game, we had like about 3 drops for interceptions. And you can't really do that against a team like Tennessee with a high-powered offense. You got to take advantage of those turnovers when they're there and not drop them. So that's definitely going to be another key as well. So
I think one thing too is really how focused Tennessee is going to be because they after this week they go to Oregon, I believe, and play there.
yeah, they're going to be all hyped up over Oregon.
So you never know. It's those.
I think they're going to be overlooking
I
Western.
don't know if
Oregon.
they necessarily
Hey,
overlook us.
brings up a good point though.
If they overlook us, that's definitely a mistake on their part. I think
Yeah.
we've shown that we're capable of beating them, and all their players and
I
coaches
think
said they're not
according to the press
overlooking us.
conference today, I
They
heard
sound
them,
pretty focused, yeah.
saw them tweet out a bunch of stuff. I think they're pretty focused on Western
I
Kentucky.
think, and I think us beating UK kind of just reiterates that point
Definitely
for
should be on
them
their
that,
radar.
that they got to kind of watch us. So
You would hope so. but yeah, we appreciate the. Oh, we got another interaction here, man.
yeah, what do y'all think about those new
Oh,
uniforms?
new unis looking
Live
outstanding.
and up close.
What do you think about them?
From where I was sitting, it was tough to read the numbers, but other than that, I thought they looked fantastic. You know, I was around several UK fans, and they were just like, "Man, those uniforms are solid."
Yeah.
Twitter was going nuts about the
Yeah.
uniforms during the game.
Okay. What were some of the Twitter fanatics saying?
Oh, it was just random people that don't even follow Western were watching the game on TV and, just talking about our uniforms and talking about how great Western's uniforms are and,
I like the uniforms.
and the chrome helmets were definitely a point of emphasis, though.
Yeah.
Everybody was talking about the chrome helmets.
I like the uniforms. I like the chrome helmets. At least Saturday night because it was kind of an evening night game. Now, when it's in the middle of the day and the sun's blaring on them, I might have a different
That'll be interesting.
perspective on that, because I might be blinded, But I like the mirror aspect of the helmet because, when Leon Allen and Antonio Anders are running all over you, they can just, the defensive people can just, watch themselves in the rear view.
Yeah.
And be like, bye.
Hey, bye now.
Come on, man. I thought I'd get more laughs out of that. Guys are killing me.
Sorry,
Sorry.
man.
It's all right. So, what are your real quick? We go to Tennessee Saturday morning. It's early morning kickoff. What do you guys think about the? What do you guys think the outcome will be? Real quick.
I said going into these two games against SEC, if we could split the two, I'd be happy. So I think it's gonna be tough to go in there and get a win. I think we'll definitely be in the game, but
Yeah.
I kind of see us falling maybe just a little short, maybe by a field goal or so.
Come on, Shane.
I hate to predict
Predicting
a
a W.
loss.
Okay. A score prediction there.
I'm going to say 34-31 tops and a close one.
I'm gonna probably lean toward Woody on this. I think we'll play them very tough, but I think we'll come up a little bit short. I almost want to say 38-34. We kind of come up short,
I do think it'll be that kind of high scoring game.
But- I think it's gonna be
at least we all agree it's going to be a close game,
Yeah.
regardless
Yeah.
of which direction.
If
it
the
goes.
spread stays between 10 and 13 points in favor of Tennessee like it has been, I think we're definitely inside that.
Yeah. All right. Now we got about 2 or 3 minutes left. So Woody, tell us about volleyball.
Definitely an exciting weekend for volleyball. They had a tough schedule start out this tournament playing two top 20 teams in USC and Purdue. Played USC fairly tight, ended up losing that one in 3 sets, but then
But USC was ranked number
USC
4
is
in the
ranked
nation.
number 4 in the
USC 's
country.
a
So,
powerhouse.
when Coach Hudson was here last week, he
Yep.
said that's definitely one of the teams that will be playing close for that national championship.
Mm-hmm.
And then we faced Purdue in their home gym and ended up taking them out in 5 sets. And that was enough to make to bump us up 5 spots in the weekly
Bumped us up
polls.
to
We're up to
5.
number 16 this week.
That's pretty good. That's the highest
ranking in
highest
program
ranking
history.
ever for volleyball. So they keep doing good things over there. And also don't forget, everybody, volleyball home game tomorrow night at 7 o'clock versus Belmont. So if you're not busy, come on out to Diddle Arena. Check out the ladies in action.
And
Number
if you
16
if you
in the
haven't
country.
been to a college volleyball game, we've talked about this before. It really is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very high paced, a lot of action. It's not it's not as dull as what a lot of people would think it is.
It's like Coach Hudson said, if you come once, you'll be hooked.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
It's a lot of fun
you
to
should
watch.
definitely come
so
out and watch.
guys need to check that out. All right, we got about a minute left. Tell us a little bit about soccer. Woody.
Soccer had a pretty good weekend too. The ladies drew 1-1 against Rice, I believe, Friday
yeah.
night, and then they beat Indiana State yesterday. So a lot of new players trying to get incorporated into the team. So it's
Are they looking better? Because they looked a little lackadaisical
progress,
against Utah as far as conditioning wise and everything
I
like
think
that.
they're making progress. They'll,
Okay.
by the time conference play rolls around, I think we'll be looking pretty good.
Okay, and their next home game is September 5th against Austin P at 7 p.m.
Everybody come out to that one too.
Yep, we got about 30 seconds left. Want to just to give a big shout out to Jack Doyle, Bobby Rainey. They got cut on Saturday, but it don't matter because they got picked up by the teams on the next day.
Browns,
Rainey's with the
Colts.
Browns, Doyle's with the Colts. They're on the active roster. They're not on the practice squad, so we'll be
Yeah,
seeing them play
paycheck.
on Sundays.
Shout out to Hilltopper Nation for making the trek down 65.
That's
and bumping
right.
it up
Good
your
times
track.
down there with y'all.
Big bumping crowd Saturday night. We'll be back, same Topper Talk time, same Topper Talk channel next week. Peace,
Tops.
go
Go
Tops.
This old house is a-getting shaky. This old house is a-getting old. This old house lets in the rain. This old house lets in the cold. On my knees I'm getting chilly, but I feel no fear of pain. Ain't got time to fix the shingles. Ain't got time to fix the floor. Ain't got time to oil the hinges, not to mend no window pane. This old house is a-getting